It all starts with a guy whose biggest problem should have been pre-ritual nerves. Instead, Destiny looked at him and said, "How about an identity crisis with a side of family betrayal?" Elymas, the heir of the prestigious Edvin family, is finally old enough to receive his divine blessing, the ceremony that determines everyone's class for life. His father notices he's unusually tense and tells him to trust the god of the sword. Easy advice when you're not about to gamble your entire future on fantasy roulette. He remembers everything. In his previous life, he was just an ordinary gamer hopelessly addicted to a VR game called Magic World. The problem is, this world is Magic World. Every class, monster, dungeon, hidden quest, and broken build is exactly how he remembers it. Our newly enlightened protagonist can barely contain his excitement. He already knows which class he wants more than anything, Heavy Knight. Sure, it starts slow, but anyone who actually understands the game knows it eventually becomes one of the most overpowered classes ever designed. Basically the class everyone ignores until one player accidentally becomes immortal. The ritual ends. Elymas eagerly checks his status. Heavy Knight. Jackpot. Unfortunately, everyone else thinks he just lost the lottery. He rushes to tell his father, expecting congratulations. Instead, he's greeted by a face that looks like someone just burned down the family estate. That's when Elymas realizes he made one tiny mistake. He confused game knowledge with this world's common sense. Players knew Heavy Knight was amazing. People living here think it's complete garbage because its early stats are terrible. Nobody bothers investing years into unlocking its ridiculous potential. Apparently patience is rarer than legendary loot. Panicking, Elymas tries lying about his class, but his father grabs his wrist and checks his status himself. The truth appears. Heavy Knight. His father's grip tightens before he slaps Elymas hard enough to introduce his face to the floor. He even admits he's relieved the ceremony wasn't public because at least the humiliation stayed indoors. Family support really isn't included in the starter package. Before things can somehow get even worse, footsteps echo through the hall. Malice arrives. She's the daughter of the Edvin branch family, and used to play with Elymas when they were children. As they grew older, status got in the way, and the two drifted apart. She requests to receive her own blessing. The priest hesitates since today's ritual wasn't prepared for her, but Elymas' father immediately orders him to continue. A few moments later. Master Swordsman? The most coveted class in the kingdom. Malice smiles at Elymas with exactly the kind of grin that says she's already planning where to put his old bedroom furniture. At first Elymas expects his father to become even angrier. Instead, the man performs the fastest emotional update in anime history. He showers Malice with praise before announcing that from this day forward she will become his daughter and a new heir of the Edvin family. Just like that, Elymas loses everything. Malice doesn't waste the opportunity either. She mocks him, claiming she always knew he lacked what it took to become the family's successor. Then comes the final blow. His father officially disowns him. He declares Elymas is no longer his son and orders him to leave immediately. Even when Elymas promises he'll one day bring honor back to the family, his father cuts him off. He forbids him from ever using the Edvin name again and warns that if he does, he'll have him executed. Nothing says family values quite like threatening your own kid with capital punishment. As the noble silently sighed with his father, Elymas is left completely alone. Before leaving, Malice gives him one last smug smile. If there were achievements for stealing someone's entire life in 5 minutes, she'd have unlocked platinum. Later that day, Elymas is thrown out of the mansion carrying nothing except a small pouch of coins. As rain pours over him, he walks away from the only home he has ever known. Meanwhile, Malice quietly watches from a window, looking very satisfied with how everything turned out. The story takes our unemployed Heavy Knight to the bustling city of Rond, where adventurers gather hoping to make names for themselves. After spending some time recovering in a cheap inn, Elymas reflects on everything that's happened. He's angry. He's humiliated. But one thing never changes. His absolute faith in Heavy Knight. He starts comparing this world with the game he remembers and notices something unexpected. The classes, monsters, and combat systems are identical. The geography, history, and cities aren't. That means his knowledge is still incredibly valuable, but it isn't perfect anymore. He'll have to verify everything himself instead of blindly trusting old memories. First things first. He checks the Heavy Knight skill tree. To his relief, every skill matches the game exactly. At the beginning, he has 5 skill points with 3 possible paths. Defense Booster gives straightforward defensive stats. Beginner swordsmanship unlocks early combat techniques and is the option almost everyone chooses. Then there's Vow of the Heavy Armor, the skill everyone laughs at. Its early benefits seem underwhelming, so almost nobody commits to it long enough to discover how absurd it eventually becomes. Elymas doesn't hesitate. He invests every single point into Vow of the Heavy Armor. Immediately, he unlocks Rampart Reflection. And unlike everyone else, he already knows this skill is completely unfair. After buying basic equipment, our future walking fortress heads into the forest for his first hunt. For a brief moment, the peaceful scenery helps him forget everything his father did. Then reality remembers it's an action series. A Rana frog monster jumps straight at him. Instead of attacking back, Elymas simply raises his shield and activates Rampart Reflection. The frog crashes into it and immediately dies. Turns out dealing damage equal to your defense is pretty effective when your opponent's entire battle strategy is headbutt the shield. He calmly collects the monster's magic stone before continuing deeper into the forest. Suddenly, someone screams for help. Elymas rushes toward the sound and finds an adventurer surrounded by a swarm of Rana. The man can't believe someone actually came to rescue him. Then Elymas casually mentions this is his very first time gaining levels. The adventurer immediately assumes they're both doomed. Honestly, fair assessment. But unlike everyone else, Elymas knows exactly how these monsters behave. He activates Rampart Reflection once more. The frogs rush him one after another. Each one slams into his shield. Each one instantly drops dead. The adventurer watches the entire horde wipe itself out, and completely forgets how blinking works. If you're enjoying watching frogs discover the consequences of poor life choices, this is probably a good time to leave a like. Once the battle ends, the stunned adventurer asks who his mysterious savior is. Elymas almost introduces himself with his full family name. Then he remembers. He no longer belongs to that family. And honestly, he doesn't want to. So he simply smiles and says, he's Elymas, the Heavy Knight.